everybody, this is the Wikstrand, so Dirty Harry. I've seen all the movies and in my opinion Magnum Force is the second best movie. I think it has the most fascinating story and with some tweaks here and there it could have been by far the best of the entirety of the Dirty Harry movies. But why is that the case? That's what we are going to find out today. This is my review of one of the most 70s cop thriller who ever cop thrilled. This is Magnum Force. So we have a rather shady guy who has been acquitted of murder because there was a, lack of evidence and stuff like that. Not uncommon in the Dirty Harry movies. But when this guy leaves the courthouse and, feels that, he has beaten the system and he's scot-free, blah, blah, blah. There is this traffic cop, a character that comes up to them. But instead of, giving them a ticket for a busted headlight or whatever it was, he kills them, straight up kills them. Dirty Harry is in the area, but Commissioner Briggs, who is not a big fan of Harry, says that, no, we'll take care of this. You're still on, stakeout detail. If we need you, I will call you. So Harry goes about, the usual of his business, which is usually getting into all sorts of trouble, which will drive his partner quite insane. Because, you see, we need to keep Harry busy elsewhere while we are focusing on this crime wave that is sweeping throughout San Francisco, because the same traffic cop keeps showing up here, there, everywhere and keeps killing people. Who is he? Is he Charlie? A colleague of Harry who has, seemed to be on the verge of cracking. Is he some kind of a phony cop sent by the organized crime to, take out the competition? Because it seems to target a lot of these high-profile mafia people. Or is it one of the very overqualified rookies from the traffic detail who seems to have a military background and seems to be so good at shooting that they even impress Harry with their skills? On whose authority are they doing this, and will Harry join them or will he stop them once he actually gets involved with this thing? That's what we're gonna find out in this movie. Like the previous and upcoming Dirty Harry movies, there is this thing that constantly happens to Harry, that stuff that has nothing to do with the overall arching story happens to Harry, that just is set out to prove what a badass he is and how cool Clint Eastwood is. The sequence in the store and the hijacking of the plane has absolutely nothing to do with the vigilante traffic cop thing, who just seems to go around killing people, especially the pimpiest pimp who ever pimped. I want his car and I want his style, damn it. God damn it, he was so cool. And he was also an asshole, but that is beside the point. So all of these sequences that has very little to do with, the overarching story can be a problem for some people who just feel like it is a bit, unfocused and stuff like that. But it is, to, elevate the character. And we also have a sequence that also has nothing to do with the overarching story, where Harry is boning his neighbor. But that was also, in my opinion, to give Harry a little bit of a softer side, proving that he's not just, shooting people and yelling catchphrases at them and being a badass. So this is, in my opinion, the second best of the Dirty Harry movies. It has a pretty brisk pace for being a 1970s cop thriller. It has some pretty big-ass action sequences. It has a pretty nice car chase. It has some good tension to itself. I love the environment we're allowed to be in. If you want a glimpse of what 1970s San Francisco looked like, to be guided by Gary Hallahan and his gigantic revolver is not the worst thing you can, experience. And you are very engaged in what's going to happen in this movie. Granted, there is a lot of things in this movie that could have been cut, and once we get into the, not cutting time with this movie, where, we have the more of the confrontations with the antagonist in this movie, that is when the movie really shines. We have a fantastic sequence with Harry and a certain character in this movie that, are talking about the system and right and wrong and stuff like that. I think this movie should have focused more on, the vigilantism versus, the rule of law and, stuff like that. That is what the meat of the matter should have been. All of these side quests and side missions are a little bit clunky and feels like we're wasting precious time once we could have done other stuff. I know why they do it, but I've never been super into it, but it doesn't annoy me too much. Clint Eastwood is of course pitch perfect as Harry Callahan, and we also have a bunch of other interesting and fascinating and entertaining side characters. I especially like his new partner, which, Harry's colleagues are betting on how long time it's going to take for him to run screaming out of the police force, because being a partner of Harry Callahan is not very good for your health and might even make you go insane. I also like the side plot with the mob and all of the things that was going on there. This is an entertaining, spectacular cop thriller from the 70s that has a lot of the cliches and things that comes with the territory. If you can tolerate that, if you can stomach that, you will be quite entertained by this thing. If you've never seen Magnum Force, or for that matter any of the other Dirty Harry movies, I will say this, that the first one, whilst being a true classic, is still a movie that takes a long time to get to the excellent finale of the damn thing. It has always been a little bit damaged by that thing. This one, as I said, is the second best. The Enforcer is not very good, nor is Deadpool very inspiring, despite having a very creative car chase involving an RC car, which is kind of fun. And Sudden Impact is my favorite. I don't know if it is because Clint Eastwood himself directed it, or because it has a very different vibe to itself, and it takes, some risks here and there, and it contains the most badassery of all of the Dirty Harry movies. I don't know. But this is a true product of its time, so you have to accept a couple of things that, may or may not be a little bit dated at this point, but for me, this is a movie I can, watch over and over again, because it is an entertaining movie. It has a lot of fun characters, fun moments, and it is a nitty-gritty cop thriller with lots of tension to itself, and is just drenched in classic 1970s aura. So I do recommend this movie, but I can understand why some people just find it to be kind of boring, kind of unfocused, and a cluttered up mess, because there is also a couple of things where I found myself thinking, well, why did they do that? And why aren't they talking about that thing? And why aren't they, addressing that this thing happened, by the pool? And why don't they talk more about certain things? Because, there are interesting aspects of this movie that, however, is not properly addressed and makes this movie feel a little bit clumsy sometimes. But nevertheless, I do recommend this movie. It is one of the better cop thrillers from the 1970s. Not one of my favorite genres, but it is a classic, and in my opinion, better than the original, but not quite as good as Sudden Impact. A really great police thriller from the 1970s. I give this movie 72 points. It is a very solid and entertaining cop thriller, and as I said, a much better pace than what normally is the case with the Dirty Harry movies, and it has a lot of things going on for itself. I like the finale, and the irony of the ending is something that I really appreciate. It's probably my favorite ending to a Dirty Harry movie, but I don't know, maybe it's just me. So which one is your favorite when it comes to the Dirty Harry movies? Comment below, and I'll see you next time from, well, so-and-so reviewing, well, such and such. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.